everyone, it's Kellen Brauer from RacerX back again with another race examination video. Going to highlight a few things from Hangtown off the start of the first 450 moto. Wanted to give some props and some kudos to Jett Lawrence, who figured out how to make basically two passes around the outside in the second corner of this race. If we go back to looking in this first corner area right here, you see that Ferrandis is going to get the whole shot. Cooper Webb is essentially ahead of Lawrence and going to the inside of the second turn. So Lawrence is going to get pushed out in the second turn, but what he ends up doing is he kind of knifes back to the left here and then holds it on a little bit longer, breaks a little bit later to the outside of Ferrandis, and Ferrandis still could push him out here, but Lawrence uses all of the racetrack. He goes all the way to the very edge of this, berm up here. This is a Cherby stake is the edge of the racetrack, and he goes right up to it, just stays on the racetrack and actually kind of drops down to get this little tabletop, but pretty impressive stuff to steal the lead there in the second corner of the first moto. I also wanted to highlight something else that I had mentioned on the post-race show about Jett Lawrence and his control of the lead, but he kept looking back over this jump right here, which is the old finish line jump. And the reason why I felt like this is important is because a lot of people were saying, oh, was he managing, or were Ferrandis and Plessinger actually closer? I think that this shows a lot of the time that Lawrence was just keeping an eye on where those guys were. And right here, they're going the other way up the racetrack right here on the right side. So he could just keep looking back at them every lap and know, oh, they're still only 7 seconds back, 5 seconds back, whatever, and wick it up when he needed to, which is what he did in the second moto. When Plessinger got a little bit closer, he ended up doing a lap about 2 seconds faster than Plessinger as soon as AP got there. So let's talk about this crazy crash off the start of 450 moto number 2 to the left side of your screen. Big pileup going to the first corner. A lot of bikes flying, a lot of riders flying. Fortunately, it sounds like mostly everybody's okay, but where I feel like this starts is you're going to see a rider here in the middle with some kind of neon gear. It's actually Jose Butron. You're going to see like kind of a part right here in the middle of the gate. And that's not where the doghouse was. That's literally just Butron going wide in this first corner. And so you're seeing a lot of these guys on the outside trying to swoop to the inside, pushing into this like kind of surge that Butron has created here in the middle by swinging a little bit wider. And then by the time we get to the first corner, you've got 4 or 5 guys basically running into each other. And it's not that Butron's way out there, but he definitely didn't kind of follow, who is this going into this first corner right here? He didn't follow, that's Masterpool. He could have stayed right in tow with him right here, but he swung out a little bit wider. And Butron, I don't think caused it, but I think that that's just kind of first turn stuff that happens where if someone doesn't, follow right into the flow of the first turn, and there's just a little bit of a difference in angle, sometimes you get guys really clanging into each other. And in this case, big first turn crash. A lot of guys went down. Really a shame that it starts this way, but like I said, fortunately, it does sound like mostly everybody's okay, and we're able to continue going, or at least get off the track under their own power. So later on in the second moto, I wanted to talk about this pass that Aaron Plessinger puts on Cooper Webb, because he was following Webb and Ferrandis a lot at Hangtown. And in this second moto, to finally get into second place, this pass, as he executes it, I feel like is really nice, because what he ends up doing here is he's going to see Webb going down the inside of this corner. He leaves the braking on a little bit later, but he sees this rut right here is kind of folding into each other, right? There's the inside line that kind of pushes out a little bit wide, and that's where Webb's going. And if Plessinger were to force the issue right here, Webb would either put him down or just push him out of the rut. So Plessinger's going to come into this corner. He's right there. He could, force the issue and try to blast around the outside of Webb, but he's actually going to kind of check up a little bit right there and decide to knife under Webb out of this corner, and he does so to avoid all these braking bumps. He's now further right on the right side of the track, so those acceleration bumps, I should say. He misses all of them, gets a nice scrub down, puts the power down, and makes the pass. Now, we know he eventually crashed and lost his position anyway, but I feel like that's a great pass right there, the way that he kind of read that situation and set it up. Jett Lawrence, though, goes 1-1, his second week in a row doing so. Man, does he look good to start the season, and someone has got to figure out how to knock him off. Maybe Cooper Webb will do it. Webb was stoked right there with that second place finish.
I want to remind everybody that this video is presented by onX Off-Road. Know where to go with the #1 off-road GPS app. Access 500,000 plus miles of trails and roads, open dates, and public lands. Use the code RACERX, that's RACERX, for 20% off when you download the onX app today.
Moving on to the 250 class off the start of 250 moto number 1, just wanted to highlight Haiden Deegan getting the whole shot right here, because he's going to come through, grab the motorsport.com whole shot. But really, this scrub right here and into the third corner sequence is what's got me excited about this kid. the ability that he has on the motorcycle is quite impressive, and just watching him maneuver the bike coming into this corner. So first of all, this scrub, very reminiscent of Antonio Cairoli ripping the whole shot in the 450 class last year at Hangtown. But you see him land on that rear tire, get the power down, and then watch as he just kind of like glides on the brakes into this corner, just letting the bike dance underneath of him, little slide into the turn, lets the rear end kind of slide into that rut, and then just powers up the hill. I mean, stuff like that is just poetry in my opinion, and Deegan doing it on the first lap in front of 39 other guys is pretty incredible. So here's another pass in the same spot that we saw Plessinger make the pass on Webb that I just wanted to highlight on Hunter Lawrence. And the reason this one feels a little bit different to me is Hunter Lawrence did something that I didn't see many other people do. It's not that wheelie that he's coming down the hill with right here. He leaves the braking way later to get around Guillaume Ferres right here. And what he's going to do is he's going to lean much harder into this little single jump right here, and almost use this single jump as like a hip jump. So he's kind of like leaning off of it and hipping into this rut. Like he lands inside of the rut, like not even landing on top of or in the middle, lands well inside of the rut. Whereas Ferres is more upright, and so you're going to see he's kind of just going to plant right perfectly into this rut. So I like that because Lawrence was using that as like an extra method of braking to kind of use that little anthill as like a single hip jump to lean into the corner a little bit further. He knew he could leave the braking later because he was going to do that to make that pass. So I thought that was pretty cool. Here's Haiden Deegan taking the win, and I know a lot of people raised a little bit of a stink that he didn't ghost ride the bike like his father, but I like that this is a more modest approach to it, right? He led every lap of the moto. He had Justin Cooper on him the whole way, but the elation of winning his first career moto, just a big old fist pump in the air, and you love to see it. I mean, someone getting their first win is always cool, and Haiden Deegan, obviously a fan favorite, so that's even extra special for him. So off the start in 250 Moto number 2, there's a couple things I wanted to talk about right here. Of course, Jeremy Martin is going to go down into the second corner. It looks like it's going to be the end of his season with a pretty bad wrist injury. But I was really confused about something, because if you go back and watch the actual replay of J Mart's arm getting ran over right here, so you're going to see Michael Mosiman is down right here on the face of this tabletop jump, I should say. So if you watch the replay of this, I'm not going to show Martin's arm really getting ran over, but Mosiman is well ahead of this crash. Like, he wasn't part of the crash in any way. He kind of helped Martin to the ground, but you can see he's getting away right here. Like, he's well ahead of this crash. So how did he end up going down? It looks like to me, I think this is Shimoda coming out of the second turn right here, is going to like kind of tuck the front end a little bit, and it's going to stand him up, and he's going to kind of go towards the right side of the track. And this is Mosiman coming onto the screen right here. So to me, it looks like he tips Shimoda's rear tire and just plows into the face of this jump, because as they go up this next jump face, the camera switches over, and you're going to see everyone go off the jump except no Mosiman. There's Shimoda, and then you're going to see riders scattering left and right. I think they're all avoiding Mosiman, and then when the camera switches back to that incident, there's Mosiman laying on the ground well past that first turn incident. So it just seems like a little, collection of lines between Shimoda and Mosiman. Unfortunately, both of them going down, and really just terrible sequence of first turn crashes there in those second motos. Hunter Lawrence does come through though. He wins the second moto, wins the overall, his second win in a row. And the Lawrence brothers, man, they are rolling into Thunder Valley.